Yeah, and Super Perfect Team, we mentioned this at the beginning of the broadcast, they are very creative. They like to run things that even teams in China do not really feel comfortable on. And exactly the map you talked about is being chosen first here, Battlefield of Eternity, but chosen by KT. But as you said, SPT might feel very much at home on this battleground. But back to the drafting, I think we're definitely going to see the one or the other exotic pick here. The D.Va, for example, was a hero that SPT really liked to run at the midseason brawl.
Indeed, we may see that again. They currently have a 100% win rate over 2 games, whereas KT have yet to show any games on this in HGC China. So how will they be able to do here? D.Va could be possible. This is a very solid map for her, just through incredible zoning potential that you can get from that self-destruct and even the bunny hop for the defense.
Yeah, the ways you can play D.Va is just, is manifold. There are many ways to play the hero. You can go for a more aggressive build, bouncing people into your backline, or as you said, you can go for a very teamfight-oriented approach, using that bunny hop to slow multiple people at the same time, disrupting the enemy team's formation, and really cause a lot of confusion there. Now, nothing new here. Dehaka is being banned. Doesn't really surprise us because we saw a lot of Dehaka on Neptune here.
So what are we going to see from KT? Uther being hovered, he is exceptionally strong. Genji also really good. Not the best immortal race damage, but can assist when he is needed. But very good at diving the enemy immortal, and as we saw from Super Perfect Team, really good at killing fountains.
I actually had a weird dream the other day in which I was catapulted back to silver for whatever reason. So my main account in Heroes of the Storm was playing at silver, and there, people tried to tell me that Genji wasn't as good. So Genji was like, in silver, he's not really that good. And I was like, no, keep banning Genji, please. It wasn't banned, and it wrecked faces even in my dreams. So that's how much Genji has an impact on Kendrick's real life. I'm glad to see it banned.
The Genji dreams. So scary. As Uther, though, someone else who is just so good at the moment, picked up first by SPT. KT respond with the noob Greymane, that little burst CC combo. This is against Uther though. There's a chance for Guardian of the Ancient Kings, and now they are empowering that with an Arthas and a Vala.
Yeah, Vala's super solid. China loves their double support Vala comps. Even when heroes are getting banned out like the Oriole, like the Tassadar, they still find a way to make it work. I would actually love to see a statistics in which it shows the win rate of those so-called Vala hypercarry comps. Would have been very interesting to watch that. But Arthas, I'm so happy that he makes an appearance here, because we've been saying this yesterday as well. Except for Hot's Lady's Carlo, there aren't really that many tank players in China that really prioritize the Lich King, right?
Very true. He is picked every now and again, but he's not prioritized. Like you said, he's very much lower down the draft. This is technically a second pick for him, which is pretty decent. He's moving his way up. That is nice. We're going to see that Ariel banned out. Like I said, the double support comps are very scary, along with that Vala, so very fair ban there. You want to make sure Vala is as empowered as possible so she can wreck the Immortal for you. But yeah, this Arthur should be pretty decent at stopping Greymane going too deep into that Worgen form, and great for defense on top of those Immortals.
Now we see an Abathur ban coming out here for SPT, and while Battlefield of Eternity is not necessarily the most famous and popular Abathur map, he can still pose a serious threat if combined with those deep diving, hard initiating warriors, and melee assassins like a Greymane. So I think it's a good precaution measure, because oftentimes when you are a favorited team here, when you are the favorites, you don't want to lose to those cheeky strategies that might work pretty well in the current meta.
Indeed, nothing says we want to end the game when you're not paying attention like an Abathur with a Greymane or an Illidan. Because they're just going to go straight to your base and win the game, because that's what they do. As we see KT considering what their next options could be, they still need the support. They don't have to pick it now, and they don't. In fact, they go for the Li Ming, because they already have the Anubarak, and bring out the Alarak, one of the most high control heroes on this map.
I like it. I still remember E-Star's first showing here in Phase 2 of HGC China, and they made this Alarak work on Battlefield of Eternity like a charm. They constantly catapulted and shoved people into those immortal stun zones, a lot of burst damage coming in if the combos were landed. And guess what? If you have a warrior like Anubarak in your ranks who has 2 ways of stunning people and locking them down, that paves the way to really land your combos. And we see his glorious statistics here as well. 66.7% win rate. That is quite impressive. True, a small sample size yet, but the trend is definitely there.
Indeed, they pick him, Alaric wins. He is the High Lord after all. He's doing a really good job lately. The silences have been on point from teams. The new rework for him working very much in his favor, as such being picked more and more as time goes on. So we see Artanis once again coming in. The last Artanis game we saw, someone wake up Trickslayer. The last Artanis game we saw coming in from Super Perfect Team, kind of wrecked face. It was brutally effective.
They were behind the entire game on Braxis Holder. They had a one-warrior frontline consisting of said Artanis, and while they were getting absolutely trashed in the first 10 minutes or so, they came back in glorious fashion with one swap after the other by Misaka. And if you have a mechanically versed player like Misaka on Artanis, you can guarantee that one or the other swap combo is going to land eventually.
We bring out the Karazim to finish up. We were one Zeratul short of a full Protoss match, but unfortunately, a support is kind of needed in this game.
Right.
So Karazim adds adds even more burst damage over to KT due to his Iron Fist. Even more if they want to go for the 7-sided strike, which could be super effective against Arthas. But we may just see Palm to try and stop their main damage.
Message for one of our new commentators, 365 here. I think it's nice when you have fans in the audience, so good job on that one. But as you said, yeah, the Karazim adds so much more threat to every warrior player, especially Arthas. We see Curse Bullet there potentially as well, so there's a lot of percentage damage, a lot of tank shredding potentially. So the front line of SPT will have to play extremely cautiously here.
Indeed, they're going to have to be very careful. The Super Perfect Team frontline does have a kind of immense amount of lockdown. They have the swaps, they have the slows, they have the roots, they have stuns. Whereas the side of KT still looks like a solid frontline in terms of tankiness, but it's not going to have the same survivability considering they are against the Uther with Guardian of the Ancient Kings, which is going to make it very hard to burst through the front line of SPT.
Yeah, so in terms of overall drafting, I actually do like what KT brought to the field here. I think they have a lot of single target DPS on the Immortal. One cannot underestimate the damage value Karazim attributes to the team because of his Iron Fist trade. And I think they have what it takes to race Immortals, kill the frontline extremely fast if their focus fire is well coordinated. What is your take on the drafts when you compare them?
My take on the drafts is both teams' drafts look solid. There doesn't look like there's any mistakes here. This just looks like both teams went for a strategy and are going to try to execute it as best they can. There's a lot of burst potential, a lot of fight control coming in from KT. For a Super Perfect Team, this is very much a let the Valor win the game and see what we can do in terms of immortal damage.
Alright everybody, open the gates and let the teams enter the arena on Battlefield of Eternity. It is SPT against KT. Couldn't be more excited about this highlight of the day here. In the blues, we have KT with T-Die on the support, on Karazim, Neptune rocking that Alrek, Fury on his Greymane, Seeing on the Li Ming, and Butcher on the main tank on a Nubarak.
Whereas on the right-hand side, it is Super Perfect Team, with Xin Zhao playing the Valor, Melisi on Tassadar, Misaka on Arthas, Wings on Artanis, and ZZH is playing the Uther, and they are clouded up.
Oh, fully clouded up, exactly. Speaking of mounts and clouds, by the way, Tetcher, how excited are you to open your first summer chest loot chest?
I am very excited to do so. When are they coming?
I think they should be live already. The last time I checked, they were live yesterday.
The game. I sort of just woke up and came here. So here we go. So yes, I'm very excited to do so right now. KT at the beginning of the game, setting up, waiting for someone to enter the lane. Artanis very cautious, and it is going to be KT that blink first. As such, Wing takes a long way around, gets telekinesis, gets stunned, but he's too close to this gate. They're not going to risk engaging any further.
Yeah, the Hierarch of the Protest is not going to fall this day, but immediately he's getting reinforced by the remaining members of SPT. But Artanis, they're He's actually swapping lanes. Okay, KT actually spotted that attempt because the Oracle kind of gave it away by no ADC. And they're swapping lanes immediately because you don't want to face 1 versus 4 too much. And there's already a lot of, you know, chaotic elements in this game. The teams are not setting for a stale laning phase here. They're rotating all over the map, which is very cool to see.
They're trying to get the advantageous lane, but both teams are reacting to each other, and as such, we have this quite big group up in the middle of the map. They have no idea what's happening, trying to gain the advantage, and as such, are just everywhere. We see a little bit of an engage, though. Artanis found in the center of the map. Wings turning it round, though, due to the fact of being Artanis. Doesn't land the phase burst, though Greymane actually going in for a little bit of harassment damage. Does not gain a huge amount, but Wings dropped to half health.
And despite Wings dropping low here, I love how Butcher on the side of KT on the Anubarak didn't really pursue him, didn't really chase him down, because Artanis, thanks to his shield overload, can get quite tanky despite being low in HP. So oftentimes chasing an Artanis is not the smartest disease. A nice swap here into the stun zone on Arthas, though.
Arthas is tanking through it, though, via the sheer benefit of being Arthas. In the meantime, while this is happening, though, while we have the entire, almost the entire team of KT defending their own immortal, Greymane is trying to burn down the enemy one. He is a little bit slower, though. Due to 1 hero being slower than 4. We're seeing ZZH getting focused down. He's surviving through it, though, but now that he's dead, he's going to get the healing out, and it's the immediate turnaround from SPT, taking down 2 members, Alarak and Karazim, both fall. They're looking for 1 more, but Greymane from over the wall looking for a counter kill. Not able to get it, though.
Alright, it was a 5 versus 4 situations because, as Tetris said, Greymane was trying to chunk down the health of the enemy Immortal down in the bottom. However, SPT made that fight work like a charm, because if you kill Uther early, sure, he's going to be fine with it because his Holy Spirit continues to heal people even in death. So there was this immediate support coming in still for SPT, and they made it into a 2-for-1 trade. Now, the first Immortal goes over to SPT in the process. It's not really the most healthy of Immortals I've ever seen, though it shouldn't really be a big problem for KT to defend here.
Yeah, they burn it down a bit. They should be fine here, but it's still going to do a little bit of damage, especially to the minion wave, rip minion wave, as the Immortal pushes down going for the tower. Should grab both. That shouldn't be too much of an issue for it.
Exactly. The towers are going to fall, but the fort should remain safe for now. Also interesting to see the lane rotation here. Greymane is no longer in the bottom lane because his damage overall against the Immortal is higher than Alarak. So you want to send the least single target DPS target into that solo lane normally, and Alarak is just fine at doing that. Uh-oh! That is a stunned Greymane. He might be in trouble now.
However, the totem was dropped. The Earth ally keeping him alive through those Valor auto attacks. And Valor almost gets dropped in exchange. She has to back up. Both towers went down, as did the Fountain, but Greymane and Valor were both able to survive. So this does still come out as an advantage for SPT.
Yeah, they're leading in XP here as well, but same talent here still. Now look at Misaka. He's flanking from behind, getting focused, but Uther's armor is keeping him alive for now. And that is the power of the Lich King and his former mentor, Uther. While Arthas is a tanky beast to begin with, Uther's armor from his heals, from the Devotion trade, makes him even harder to take down. And that's going to be a pretty big problem here throughout the game for KT, it seems.
Indeed, and that can actually be a big reason to really consider whether you want a Nubarak prioritized when there is an Uther on the enemy team. Just due to the sheer, you're actually potentially giving your enemies an advantage. Your best hope is to focus someone down before that happens.
Yeah, and especially pre-level 10, where there's no 7-sided strike, no cursed bullet to really ignore all that armor that Uther can provide to Arthas. KT is going to struggle quite a bit here, and they're getting sieged up. The Impalers are helping out here in that top lane, but the fort is holding strong for now.
Indeed, they are defending. The Impalers will get taken out, but without a huge amount of trouble. But the fort is already dropped down to half health. Karazim, good diving in, but runs into a Tassadar shield. Not able to burn through it. Valor still healthy as they wade forward. CC onto a Nubarak, but he's able to tunnel out.
And as you mentioned, Tetcher, that is the power of the Earth ally, that orange Karazim shade that provides so much block to your targeted allies in reach. And against a pretty basic attack heavy comp like SPT has with Artanis, Vala, and even Tassadar, who's hitting harder than before his rework, that Earth ally is going to have massive value. And I wonder how fast or how much they're going to try to poke it down and target it down. Now, once again, pretty okay lead here in terms of Immortal progress for SPT. They're taking the Fallen Shaman camp in the mid-season, not mid-season break, but halftime break. Let's see who's going to come out on top here.
So if you can hear that, by the way, dogs barking. As we do see SPT moving down to the bottom area, trying to zone away from their immortal. Land of swap onto a Nubrak, but nice tunnel.
Nice tunnel out here, just in the nick of time. Butcher lives yet another day. But this is a pretty big advantage that SPT has made for themselves. They did unlock the Fallen Shaman camp, already applying a lot of pressure in that top lane. So you can see how SPT is playing it very patiently right now. Whereas KT, they really want to make something happen right now before the Mercenary camp gets any more value.
A noob taken out, and once again a good swap by Wings. He is so scary on this. As Uther move for telekinesis turnaround though. What a move by Neptune as they go in for Wings as well, looking for another one. They finally disengage as Arthas arrives and might be zoning out. There's Greymane flipped, but there's no one else there. Wings just put himself in danger here. While Misaka is desperately trying to distract. Wings finally going deep onto Neptune, trying to pick up a kill, and he gets it.
Wow, that was the battle of the Protoss right there. And look at Artanis, he continues to get shielded by Tassadar and his own shield overload, but in the end, he ends up falling. Nice dodge here by Greymane. That Howling Blast was so close to hit him. But yeah, these teams are brawling it out here. Team members falling on both sides. It was Artanis now. His Protoss counterpart Alarak also ended up falling, and it looks like SPT, despite, you know, a little bit of a setback, they secure themselves this first Immortal of the game.
What a beautiful telekinesis by Alarak to turn that fight around. Unfortunately, like you said, SPT able to grab the second immortal of the game as they begin to pressure into the bot lane. No one at top currently. Looks like they are going to send Artanis up there, though, so he can continue pressuring that as well. So they are going to be soaking both lanes. Immortal moving in. This one will definitely get the 2 towers like the previous one, but once again, it's a little bit low on shield, so it might not make it through the fort.
And that is really the power of Artanis. He is one of the most resilient warriors if you can shut down his basic attacks that replenish the cooldown of his shield overload. So there are no blinds on the side of KT. There are not really that many stuns on the side of KT. So the silence is going to be crucial. And of course, a Nubrak's Cocoon at level 10 to really shut down that Protoss fighting machine.
Indeed, they have like one character with physical armor as well, and that's Sorta Greymane. So they're going to have a little bit of trouble in terms of surviving Artanis if he's able to continuously get value. They've just found Alarak. They decide against going too deep for him, though. Instead, move it up, finishing off that 4 and killing off a tower.
Yeah, Li Ming hasn't really decided yet what heroic ability she wants to go for. We see a no 7-sided strike, by the way, on the side of Karsim. Instead, Divine Palm. Now, is he going to use it anytime soon? There is a lot of burst damage on the side of SPT. Here comes another engage, though.
Counter-strike was used already. There is the Palm. Alarak tanking through this for now. Karazim trying to get the hitting telekinesis to try and escape, but Neptune still falls. That's 2 heroics used to not save him.
Yeah, Kringshao here on 100% man mode. We still don't know what this number means to be exact. However, I mean, SPT didn't even have to use 2 of their most teamfight-oriented heroic abilities, which is the Divine Shield and the Archon. Yet, they came out on top handsomely. And that fight didn't really look so good for KT. The Palm was landed, but still, people ended up dying. So KT will have to adjust to the aggression and the aggressive playstyle that SPT so far applies to them.
Indeed. KT, they are trying to play aggressive, but Super Perfect Team putting on the pressure, showing that they're still a little bit more favored here at the moment. Artanis moving in, shield onto, Tassadar, shield onto Artanis, keeping him healthy for the moment as he still wants this camp, but there are more people coming in. Wings, is he going to be brave? He has no reinforcements coming in except for this Tassadar. So instead, they're going to leave it, and we are seeing the laser coming in. Syndicate trying to save it. Wings moving forward though, getting the first goal of the fight, turning around and getting those shield that still survives. Palm is procced though.
The Palm was procced by the Mercenaries. That was so close. Divine Shield now on Artanis, and Anubrak is under pressure. Uses the Burrow Charge to get to safety though, but look at SPT. They're posturing up, and they're surrounding them.
The Oracle is used, they have full vision, Anub is focused down, Li Ming tries to escape from over the wall, but Artanis finds her, and Super Perfect Team get everyone.
Yeah, a full team wipe here in favor of SPT, and that was the worst timing, unfortunately, for KT to lose this many members, because the Immortals are still out, while SPT is looking in good shape. Double support is really good at keeping people alive after all, and the first 50% are getting taken here by SPT uncontested.
Yeah, this Immortal is going to be strong unless KT can either defend or get at least some of that shield off. Looks like they're going for the defend option. They're going to find ZZH in this bush. Are they going to be able to react to it? No, Misaka in position for the root, but they instead turn onto the Valor, who's able to move back a bit, turning around for all those multi-shot damage as Wings moves onto the Anubrak, trying to finish him off.
Oh no, this is bad news.
Can they time it well? Good stun by Anub,
Nice.
and he is able to escape, but it's still Alarak and Karazim dying. Valor, though, finally finished off by a Rogue Lee Ming shot.
Yeah, KT this time around didn't go down without a fight. They got at least one kill out of it, but yet it was a 3-for-1 trade. And you know what? These fights are not going well for KT, and I think there are many reasons for it. But the most important one, I think, is Artanis. They can't really shut down Wings, who can do whatever he wants to. Misaka also extremely hard to kill. The palms were good so far, but I don't think they achieved a whole lot because, as you can see, SPT is so good at, you know, really stopping their focus fire before proccing it, and only the mercenary camp was as foolish enough to really proc it before. So I'm not sure, Tetcher, would you have liked to see a 7-sided instead of the palm?
I think so. I don't think they're going to burn through Arthas any other way. Like, Cursed Bullet into 7-sided, and that person's basically dead if you can get them isolated, and you have Alarak, the king of isolation. So, I don't know. I think I would have liked it.
Yeah, I agree. I think also Alarak is doing a pretty decent job so far, but it looks like, you know, all that burst damage, the team pretty much only has burst damage. With the Li Ming and the Alarak, Greymane, of course, can use his cocktail to poke a little bit, but essentially he's a burst damage dealer as well. And when you play against an Uther, when you play against an Tassadar, those two heroes are some of the best anti-burst supports in the game. So all that burst damage is not going to accomplish a whole lot. So maybe heroes like Lunara, heroes like KT would have actually achieved a little bit more.
Quite possibly, but we do not know. Li Ming having to cancel the Disintegrate to move out of range there. He's spamming those Triumvirate orbs to continue to poke down this Immortal. Artanis went for the Blade Dash, but did not swap. He's trying to instill fear into KT and try and force the positioning mistakes right now. Doing a good job of it. Arthas moving forward. If Artanis is going to swap, now's the time. Finds Alarak, tries to move in onto him. Alarak, though, gets the silence, but he's taking so much damage. Telekinesis. Though, Li Ming and Greymane as well. Anubrak, though, does drop. Li Ming turning around, trying to get the first damage. It is Li Ming. One kill is all they need. They turn onto Artanis, who is trying to micro away. The Immortal stun is getting super in the way. Greymane survives again.
All they need to do is stall out time while the Immortal does the heavy damage on the core. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. SPT takes game number 1 in very convincing fashion. And boy, that was so close on the Divine Palm there. It was used on Greymane, who jumped to safety to the Hall of Storms. And Anubrak in the process ended up dying. Never lucky. But man, SPT looking strong. However, I think it was more due to drafting miscalculations on the side of KT. Mechanically, they looked really strong, especially in that early stage game.
Yeah, very nicely done by both teams, but super perfect team. They are looking better than before.
Oh, yeah.
This map, and with Artanis, I'm starting to think that maybe that's just a worthy target ban against them at this point, because, good lord.
Here we go. Now, can KT come back? I think the talent is there. The team fighting mechanics are there as well. We saw some really good mechanics, especially on Alarak. He just continues to impress as a hero. However, as we said earlier, the draft didn't really go in that hard. It didn't really work out the way KT planned. Because maybe the 7-sided strike would have been a little bit better to ignore all that single target protection provided by Uther and Tassadar. But I'm pretty sure that KT is adaptable and they can learn from those mistakes.